What up, football fans? This is Big Al on your Football Friday. It's November 20th, 2020, and welcome back to part 2 of my Week 11 NFL review. Now, we kick things off with the Thursday night game hitting the Arizona Cardinals and the Seattle Seahawks. All the final numbers from that game will be unveiled in my Week 11 edition of the week that was, and that's gonna drop on Tuesday, so watch for that. But today we're gonna take a look at the other 13 games on the Week 11 schedule, including point spreads, over/unders, my picks against the spread and straight up, plus offensive and defensive statistical numbers for each team. And before we dive into the remaining schedule, let's take a look at the teams that are in the bye in Week 11. You have the 7-3 Buffalo Bills, the 5-5 Chicago Bears, the 3-7 New York Giants, and the 4-6 San Francisco 49ers. And we'll take a look at the offensive and defensive numbers from those four teams first, before we dive into the schedule. So, taking a look at the offenses for these four teams, the Buffalo Bills averaged 376.5 yards per game. That's number 10 in the NFL. The San Francisco 49ers are at 364.7 yards per game, which is 16th. The New York Giants, 306.6 yards a game, which is number 30. And right below them are the Chicago Bears at number 31, averaging 300.9 yards per game. As far as passing offense is concerned, with the four teams in the bye, the highest ranked of these four are the New York Giants, or this should be rushing offense, my mistake. But anyway, the highest of the four teams in the highest ranked teams of the four in the bye for Week 11 are the New York Giants, 16th in rushing at 110.5 yards per game. And then you've got the Buffalo Bills at 97.6, they're 29th. The Bears are dead last in rushing at 78.2 yards per game. And the San Francisco 49ers, they're actually the highest ranked of the rushing offenses of the four teams at 112 yards per game. That's number 15. All right, passing yards. Buffalo averages 278.9 yards per game, which is number 5. San Francisco is at 252.7. That's good for 14th. The Chicago Bears, 222.7, which is 25th. And the New York Giants are 28th in passing offense at 196.1. Now you get the point scoring. The Buffalo Bills average 27.2 points per game, which is 11th. The 49ers are at 23.8 points per game. That puts them at number 20. And then the New York Giants and Chicago Bears rank 30th and 31st in scoring offense. New York at 19.5 points per game, Chicago 19.1. And then average time of possession of the four teams in the bye, the highest is the Buffalo Bills at 30 minutes 42 seconds, good for 12th. That's then followed by Chicago at 29 minutes 53 seconds. That's number 16. New York Giants at an average of 29 minutes and 9 seconds. That ties them with Kansas City for 20th. We got the Giants, we did the Bears, and we did the Bills. Oh, there's the San Francisco 49ers at 31 minutes and 35 seconds. That's number 8 in average time of possession. All right, let's jump to the defenses. The highest rated defense in yards allowed of the four in the bye week are the San Francisco 49ers at 315.9 yards per game. That's number 5. The next highest is the Chicago Bears at 340.1 yards per game. Good enough to put them in the top 10. Then you got the New York Giants at 358.6, which is 16th. And Buffalo is 20th in total defense at 373.7. All right, rushing defense. Of the 4 teams in the bye week, the New York Giants has the best defense against the run at 100.9 rushing yards allowed per game. That's number 7. Followed by the 49ers at 107 yards per game. That's 10th. Then you go down to number 14. That's where you'll find the Chicago Bears at 115.1. And then further down the list is the Buffalo Bills at 135 rushing yards allowed per game, which is 28th. And now the passing defense. The San Francisco 49ers at 208.9 pass yards allowed per game is number 4 in the NFL. That's followed by Chicago at 225 yards, which is 12th. Next is the Buffalo Bills at 238.7. That puts them at 17th. And then the New York Giants at 257.7. That's 23rd. And then points allowed among the 4 teams in the bye. The tops of these 4 are the Chicago Bears at 20.9 points allowed, which is 7th. The Giants are at 23.6 points allowed, which is number 12. And I skipped over San Francisco. They're at 23.4 points allowed. They're tied with New England for 10th. And the Buffalo Bills are at 26.5 points allowed per game, which is 18th. And then on late down situations, starting with third down conversions on offense. The Buffalo Bills are at 50%, which ties Kansas City for second. And then going down the list, you'll see the San Francisco 49ers at 42.37%, good for 16th. The New York Giants are 23rd in third down conversions on offense at 40.8%. And then the Chicago Bears are 31st at 31.11%. They rank ahead of only the New York Jets. Fourth down conversions on offense. Buffalo Bills still number 1 at 100%. They have not missed a fourth down play this year. Then you've got the New York Giants at 69.23%. That ties them with Washington for 8th. And then further down the list, you've got the Chicago Bears at 50%. They are tied with 5 other teams for 21st. And then the San Francisco 49ers is 29th in fourth down conversions on offense at 30%. All right. Opponents' third down conversions. This is the defense. This is what each team allows on third down. The Chicago Bears is number 1 in the NFL at 33.33%. A little bit down the list is the San Francisco 49ers at 38.33%, which is 7th. Going further down, we land at number 21, which is the New York Giants at 44.26%. And then the Buffalo Bills at 46.49%, which is number 23. And then fourth down conversions on defense of the 4 teams in the bye week. The best fourth down defense of the teams with the week off are the Buffalo Bills at 54.55%, which is 15th. Next is the San Francisco 49ers at 60%, tied with Seattle for 18th. Then you've got the Chicago Bears at 66.67%. They're tied with Jacksonville and Minnesota for 24th. And the New York Giants at 72.73%. That's 29th in the NFL. So now we've taken a look at all the statistical numbers of the four teams in the bye week. Now we can go straight into the schedule. Starting off with an NFC South Division tilt as the 3-6 Atlanta Falcons visit the 7-2 New Orleans Saints. That game's being played in the Superdome in New Orleans. Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. local time on Fox. The announcers are Kevin Burkhardt, Duro Johnston, and sideline reporter Pam Oliver. The point spread in this game as of 11 a.m. Eastern Time Friday, or today, as this is being recorded, is New Orleans minus 3.5. The over-under is set at 49. All right. Off to our first tell of the tape for Sunday with the Falcons and Saints. We'll start with the offenses. The visiting Atlanta Falcons are number 5 in the league in total offense at 396.8 yards per game. They are 18th in rushing offense at 106.8 yards per game. They are number 2 behind Kansas City in terms of passing offense at 290 yards per game. And as far as points, they're pretty respectable. They're at 27 points a game, which puts them at 13th. And average time of possession is 31 minutes and 50 seconds. That is 5th in the league. As for the Saints, they average 373.1 yards per game, which is number 12. They average 120.8 rush yards per game, also number 12. They're at 252.3 passing yards per game. That puts them at 15th. The offense scores an average of 30.1 points per game, tied with Pittsburgh for 4th. And average time of possession is 31 minutes, 20 seconds, which is 10th. Taking a look at the defenses for both teams, starting off with the visitors. The Atlanta Falcons allow 410 yards per game. That is number 30 in the NFL, ranking ahead of both Jacksonville and Seattle. They are one of the top defenses against the run in the NFL. They allowed 99.7 rushing yards per game, which is number 6. They allowed 310.3 pass yards per game. That's 31st ahead of Seattle. And in points, the Falcons allow 27.9 points a game, which is 25th. The New Orleans Saints defense gives up 308.2 yards per game, which is number 4 in the NFL. They're also pretty good against the run. They allow 76.8 rushing yards per game. That's number 2 behind Tampa Bay. As far as passing defense, they give up 231.4 yards per game. That puts them 15th. And in points, they allow 23.7 per game, which is 13th. All right. As far as late down situations go, starting off with the Atlanta Falcons, they're at 43.44% on third down conversions offensively. That's number 12. The Falcons are at 56.25% on fourth down conversions on offense. That's tied with Carolina for 19th. Third down conversions on defense, they're one of the top teams. They're at 38.68%. That puts them at number 8. And they're also one of the top fourth down defenses in football at 33.33%. They are tied with New England for second, trailing only the Pittsburgh Steelers. Meanwhile, the New Orleans Saints are at 47.9% on third down conversions on offense. That's number 5. Fourth down conversions on offense. The Saints, I'm looking, there they are. They're at 62.5%, which is 13th. Third down percentage on defense. New Orleans is a little bit down on this list at 44.63%, which is 22nd. And fourth down conversions on defense. The New Orleans Saints are at 56.25%, which is 16th. All right. Now, as you know, Drew Brees did get hurt last week. He injured some ribs and he has a punctured lung. And the initial timetable was that he was going to be out 2 to 3 weeks. Now, there's no definite timetable for his return. So, looks like Jameis Winston and Taysom Hill will be taking over at the quarterback spot until Brees returns, whenever that is. Trust me, if Brees was playing in this game, I say New Orleans wins. But without number 9, I don't even think they'll stand a chance in this game. I don't think that they'll be able to win with either Jameis Winston or Taysom Hill under center. That said, I'm taking the Falcons in an upset, 27-23, and I'm also picking Atlanta as the road underdog to cover the New Orleans point spread of 3.5 points. All right, next up, you have a pair of 2-win teams doing battle in our nation's capital. As the Washington football team enters this week with a 2-7 record, they play host to rookie quarterback Joe Burrow and the 2-6-1 Cincinnati Bengals. This is at FedEx Field in Landover, Maryland. Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern on CBS. The broadcast team for that game will be Spiro Dedes and Adam Archuleta. The point spread as of 11 p.m. Eastern Time Sunday. Yeah, this line hasn't changed since Sunday night. Washington at -1. The over-under is at 47. My straight up and ATS picks coming up shortly, but first the tell of the tape with the Cincinnati Bengals and the Washington football team. Starting off with the visitors from Cincinnati. On offense, the Bengals average 357.7 yards of total offense per game. That is number 18. They're 21st. In fact, they're tied with Carolina for 21st in rushing yards at 105.4. And passing yards, they're at 252.2, which is 16th. And as far as points, the Bengals average 22.7 points per game, which ties them with Dallas for 22nd. Average time of possession is an AFC leading 32 minutes and 23 seconds. That's number 2 overall in the NFL, behind only the Packers. As for the Washington football team, they're pretty much on the bottom end of each offensive category. They are 28th in the league in total offense at 323.9 yards per game. 30th in rushing yards at 91.9. 20th in passing yards at 232. They average 20 points a game, which is 29th. And average time of possession is 19th at 29 minutes, 34 seconds. Taking a look at the defenses, the Cincinnati Bengals are 26th in yards allowed at 398.2. 27th in rush yards allowed at 133.1. They're also number 26 in pass yards allowed at 265.1. And in points, the Bengals allowed 27.8 points a game, which is 24th. As for the Washington football team, they are number 7 in total yards allowed at 320.7. They are 21st in rushing defense, allowing 126 yards per game. They are the league leaders in the NFL in passing yards allowed at 194.7. And in points, Washington allows 24.2 points per game, putting them 14th. All right, late down situations, beginning with the Bengals. They are 29th in third down conversions on offense at 38.1%. They are number 2 in the league in fourth down conversions on offense at 87.5%, trailing only Cincinnati. Third down conversions on defense. The Cincinnati Bengals are at 46.9%, putting them 24th. And fourth down conversions on defense, they're at 42.86%, which ranks number 9. As for Washington, they convert 39.17% of their third downs on offense, which is 25th. Fourth down conversions on offense is 69.23%, tied with the New York Giants for 8th. Third down conversions on defense, Washington is at 40.34%, which is 16th. And then fourth down conversions on defense, Washington is at 50%, tied with both Philadelphia and Tampa Bay for 12th. Now, it looks like Alex Smith will be under center for the Washington football team on Sunday. And you take a look at these two quarterbacks. I think Joe Burrow is the better quarterback. I just don't trust Washington's offense. I don't think they can score more than, say, 23, 24 points in a game. And I think that'll be the case here. I think Cincinnati's defense, which has been under fire all year long, will have probably their best game of the season come Sunday. So I'm taking the Bengals to win this game 24-17. Again, that's based on quarterback play. And I also have the Bengals as the road dog covering the slim 1-point line. All right, off we go to Charlotte as the 4-5 Detroit Lions visit the 3-7 Carolina Panthers. This game is being played at Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte. Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern on Fox. Broadcast team is Kevin Kugler on play-by-play, Chris Spielman on color commentary, and sideline reports from Laura Oakman. The point spread as of 4:30 p.m. on November 12th. So this line has not changed in more than a week. The current point spread as of 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Thursday, November 12th, is Carolina -3. The over-under for this game is not available. All right, here is the tell of the tape on the Lions and Panthers. We'll start off with the offenses. The Detroit Lions are 17th in the NFL at 360.4 yards per game, while the Carolina Panthers rank 21st at 351. All right, passing yards. The Lions are 25th at 101.6 yards per game, while Carolina is 22nd in passing yards. No, they're tied with Cincinnati for 21st average. And this is not passing yards. That's, again, rushing yards. But anyway, Detroit's 25th in the league in rushing yards at 101.6. Carolina is in a tie with Cincinnati for 21st at 105.4. Now we can take a look at passing yards, where the Lions are number 12 at 258.9, and the Panthers are number 17 at 245.6. All right. They're pretty much in the same area as far as point scoring. Detroit ranks 16th in points at 25.2 per game, while Carolina is 21st at 23.3. Average time of possession, the Carolina Panthers average 30 minutes and 25 seconds. That's number 14. While the Lions are 25th at 28 minutes, 31 seconds. Taking a look at the two defenses. The Lions allow an even 400 yards per game. That's number 27. While the Carolina Panthers allow an even 380 yards per game. That ranks them 22nd. Rushing defense, the Detroit Lions are 30th at 141.6 yards per game, while the Panthers are 20th at 124.5. Passing defense. They're both pretty much in the same area here. Detroit ranks 24th in pass yards allowed at 258.4, while Carolina allows 255.5, putting them just a couple spots ahead of them in 22nd. And then points allowed, the Lions give up 29.7 points a game, which is 29th, and the Carolina Panthers allow 27.2, tying them with the LA Chargers for 21st. Now to late down situations. Third down conversions on offense. The Panthers and Lions are at 41.38% and 41.07%. In fact, Carolina is number 20 at 41.38%, and Detroit is 21st at 41.07%. Fourth down conversions on offense. The Lions are at 66.67%. That ties them with Pittsburgh and Tennessee for 10th. While the Carolina Panthers are at 56.25%, tying them with the Atlanta Falcons for 19th. Third down conversions on defense. Neither of them are really that good. The Lions are 26th in third down conversions on defense at 47.79%, while the Carolina Panthers are dead last in the NFL at 55.28%. And in fourth down conversions on defense, the Lions are at 61.54%, which is number 20, and the Carolina Panthers at 100%, dead last in football. All right, this game, I'm taking the Carolina Panthers to win 27-21 and to cover the 3 points. All right, off we go to Houston, where the suddenly streaky New England Patriots with a 4-5 record, they have a chance to get back to 500 with a win at NRG Stadium against the 2-7 Houston Texans. Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern on CBS. The broadcast team will be Andrew Cataline and James Lofton, along with sideline reporter Michael Grady. The point spread in this game as of 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Tuesday is New England -1. The over-under is set at 49. Now let's go to the tell of the tape, starting off with the offenses. The New England Patriots averaged 355.9 yards per game in total offense. That puts them at number 19. The Houston Texans are right behind them at number 20, averaging 354.4 yards per game. All right, rushing yards. The Patriots are at 161.1 per game. That's third in the league behind Arizona and Baltimore. While the Houston Texans are at 87.9 rush yards per game. That's 31st, ranking them ahead of just the Chicago Bears. All right, passing offense. The Patriots are near the bottom in this category at 194.8. That puts them at number 29. While the Houston Texans are near the top. They're at 266.6 passing yards per game, putting them number 8. As far as point scoring is concerned, both are in the lower quarter of the league. Houston averages 22.2 points per game, which is 25th, while the New England Patriots score 21 points a game, putting them 27th. And then average time of possession is 30 minutes, 26 seconds for the Patriots. That's 13th. And 26 minutes and 55 seconds for the Houston Texans. That is 31st in the NFL, ahead of just the New York Jets. On defense, the Patriots allow 353.3 yards per game, putting them at number 13, while the Texans are at 409.1, which is 29th. Rush yards allowed. The New England Patriots allow 129.2 yards per game, putting them at number 24, while Houston is dead last at stopping the run, allowing 167.4 yards per game. Passing defense. The New England Patriots are 10th in the league at 224.1, while the Houston Texans rank 18th at 241.7. And as far as points are concerned, the Patriots allow 23.4 points per game. They're tied with San Francisco for 10th, while Houston allows an even 28 points per game, putting them at number 26. All right, late down situations. The New England Patriots convert 43.14% of their third down attempts on offense. That's number 13. While the Texans convert 41.82%, putting them at number 17. On fourth down conversions offensively, the New England Patriots are one of the best teams in this category, hitting 70% of their fourth down attempts. That is number 7 in the NFL. While the Houston Texans are pretty much in the middle of the pack at 60%. They're tied with Tampa Bay for 15th. Third down conversions on defense. The New England Patriots allow their opponents to convert 42.11% of third down conversions. That is 18th in the NFL. While the Houston Texans allow their opponents to convert on 47.93% of their third down conversions. That's 27th. And then fourth down conversions on defense, the New England Patriots allow just 33.33%, tying them with Atlanta for second, while the Houston Texans allow their opponents to convert 63.64% of fourth down attempts. That ties them with the Arizona Cardinals for 22nd. Now I can see why Vegas gave New England such a small point spread, as the offense really isn't that good for the Patriots. Outside of their rushing attack, as I said, is number 3 in the league. Hold on a second. I don't even know what's in my throat, but it's driving me crazy. Okay, that should help. But yeah, I can see why the point spread is only 1 point. The Patriots have a pretty lethal rushing attack, while Houston, they have one of the top passing attacks in football. I mean, Deshaun Watson is among one of the NFL's leaders in terms of passing yards. It's just a shame that the team around him is not performing as well as he is. But I think that Cam Newton will do enough for this Patriots offense to take a win down in H-Town. So I got the Patriots winning this game 27-17 and I have them covering that slim 1 point spread. And that is the second of 3 games that has a point spread of just 1 point. All right, off to the shores of Lake Erie, where the 6-3 Cleveland Browns play host to the 3-5-1 Philadelphia Eagles, who at last check were still leading the NFC East, even after last week's loss. This game is being played at First Energy Stadium in Cleveland, Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern on Fox. The broadcast team will be Adam Amin on play-by-play, Mark Schlereth on color commentator Mark Schlereth, and sideline reporter Lindsey Czarniak. The point spread in this game as of 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Friday, so we're talking roughly about 2.5 hours ago as we're recording this. The point spread is Cleveland at -3, and the over-under is set at 47.5. All right, now to the tale of the tape, starting off with the visiting Philadelphia Eagles offense, who averaged 331.8 yards of offense per game, which is number 27. Rushing wise, they averaged 122.8 yards per game, which is 10th. Passing yards, they averaged 209 per game, which is 27th. And Philadelphia ranks 24th in both points scored at 22.6 per game and average time of possession at 28 minutes and 43 seconds. The Cleveland Browns offense averaged 347.8 yards per game, which is 23rd. And this is one of the top rushing attacks in football as well. They put up 159 rush yards per game, which is number 4, trailing only Arizona, Baltimore, and New England. As far as passing yards, the Browns, not so great. They're at 188.8, which is 30th in the NFL, ahead of both Baltimore and the Jets. And as far as points are concerned, the Browns average 24 points per game, tying them with the Los Angeles Rams for 18th. And they are also 18th in average time of possession at 29 minutes, 39 seconds. All right, let's jump over to the defenses. The Philadelphia Eagles allow 344.8 yards per game. That puts them at number 11. While the Cleveland Browns, not too far behind them at 357.1. That's 15th. All right, rushing defense. The Browns are very good in this area. They allow 104.9 yards per game on the ground. That's number 8. Philadelphia, which have been one of the top rush defenses in the league for many years, not the case this year. They're giving up 133 rushing yards per game. That puts them at number 26. And then you've got passing yards. The Eagles allow just 211.8, putting them at number 6. While the Browns give up 252.2, ranking them at number 21. And then points allowed, the Philadelphia Eagles give up an average of 25.8 points per game, putting them at number 16, while Cleveland allows 27.1 points per game, just putting them in the top 20. Late down situations. All right, the Philadelphia Eagles offense convert just 39.66% of their third downs. That is 24th in the league. The Browns convert 41.75% of their third downs. That puts them at number 18. Fourth down conversions on offense, both are terrible. The Browns convert 38.46% on fourth downs offensively, which is 27th. Philadelphia is worse than that. They're at 29.41%, which is 30th. And dead last in the NFC. Only Jacksonville and Denver have worse offenses in converting fourth downs in the NFL. Third down conversions on defense. The Eagles are at 39.2%, which puts them at number 10, while the Browns are near the bottom at 48.67%. They rank at number 29 ahead of Seattle, Tennessee, and Carolina. Fourth down conversions on defense. The Cleveland Browns also one of the worst in that category. They're at 86.67%, which puts them at 31st ahead of only the Carolina Panthers, while the Philadelphia Eagles are at 50%, tying them with both Tampa Bay and Washington for 12th. I think the Browns are going to win this game because that rushing attack with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, it's lethal. That's why I'm taking the Browns to win this game 27-14, and I also have them covering the 3 points. I mean, Philly just doesn't have an offense to contend with. Plus, they have all those injuries they're still trying to combat. All right, off we go now to Jacksonville as the undefeated 9-0 Pittsburgh Steelers make the trek down to Duval County to face the 1-8 Jacksonville Jaguars down at Everbank Field. This is Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern on CBS. The broadcast team will be play-by-play announcer Ian Eagle, color commentator Charles Davis, and sideline reporter extraordinaire Evan Washburn. The point spread in this game as of 1 p.m. Eastern Time this afternoon, being Friday, is Pittsburgh minus 10, over-unders 46. All right, here's the tell of the tape for the Steelers and Jaguars, starting off with the offenses. All right, the Steelers averaged 345 yards a game, while the Jaguars averaged 340.4, ranking 24th and 25th respectively. Both are on the low end in rushing. Pittsburgh averages 101.8 yards per game, which is 24th as well. Jacksonville an even 100 yards rushing per game, which is 26th. All right, passing yards. The Steelers are at 245.2, or rather 243.2 passing yards per game, while Jacksonville's at 240.4, ranking 18th and 19th respectively. Now, as far as point scoring, they're on different ends of the spectrum. The Pittsburgh Steelers are one of the top scoring teams in the NFL at 30.1 points per game. They're tied with New Orleans for 4th. While Jacksonville is one of the lowest scoring teams in the league at 22.1 points per game, putting them at number 26. And an average time of possession, same thing. Steelers are near the top, the Jaguars are near the bottom. Pittsburgh has an average time of possession of 31 minutes, 41 seconds, which is number 7. While Jacksonville has an average time of possession of 28 minutes and 15 seconds, putting them 29th. Taking a look at defense. The Pittsburgh Steelers allow 318.1 yards in total defense. That's number 6. Jacksonville gives up 415.6 per game, which is 31st, putting them ahead of only Seattle. All right, rushing defense. The Steelers allow 106.8 rushing yards per game, which is number 9, while Jacksonville gives up 131.7, putting them at number 25. All right, passing defense. Pittsburgh's also one of the best. They're at 211.3 per game, putting them number 5. Conversely, Jacksonville's one of the worst in stopping the pass. 283.9 passing yards allowed, putting them 30th, ahead of both Atlanta and Seattle. And point scoring, again, both on different ends of the spectrum. The Steelers' defense allows 19 points per game. That is third in the NFL behind only the Baltimore Ravens and Los Angeles Rams, while Jacksonville ranks 31st in this category at 30.1 points per game allowed. They're ahead of only the Dallas Cowboys. All right, late down situations. All right, the Pittsburgh Steelers, they convert 46.92% of their third downs on offense. That puts them at number 6. Jacksonville's pretty good in this category as well. They convert 44.35% of their third down conversions on offense, putting them number 10. Fourth down conversions on offense. The Steelers are at 66.67%, tied with Detroit and Tennessee for 10th. Jacksonville is further down at 25%. That's 31st in the NFL, ahead of just Denver. Third down conversions on defense. The Steelers are at 39.68%, which puts them at number 14. Jacksonville is at 42.34%, which is 19th. So both are middle of the pack as far as third down conversions on defense are concerned. Fourth down conversion defense. The Pittsburgh Steelers is number 1 in the NFL, allowing their opponents to convert only 28.57% of their fourth down attempts. Jacksonville, on the other hand, allows their opponents to hit on 66.67% of fourth down conversions. They're tied with Chicago and Minnesota for 24th. Now, we all heard the stories that the Steelers usually struggles in Jacksonville. Be that as it may, I don't think Jacksonville is going to have a repeat performance like they did last week when they nearly upset Green Bay. I think the Steelers can go down to Jacksonville and win this game, and that's what I have them doing. Give me Pittsburgh in this one, 24-16. However, I have the home dog Jacksonville Jaguars covering Pittsburgh's 10 points. That's given the documented history of Pittsburgh's struggles in Jacksonville, I have to take that into account. All right, the final game on the early window on Sunday is a pair of 6-3 teams doing battle, as Ryan Tannehill and the 6-3 Tennessee Titans visit Lamar Jackson and the 6-3 Baltimore Ravens at M&T Bank Stadium. Now remember, the last time the Titans played the Ravens in Baltimore was in the playoffs last year, and Tennessee pulled an upset. Will lightning strike twice? We will find out Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern on CBS. The broadcast team will be CBS's top broadcast team of play-by-play announcer Jim Nantz, color commentator and former NFL quarterback Tony Romo, and sideline reporter Tracy Wolfson, alumnus of the University of Michigan. Go Blue! All right, point spread as of 1 p.m. Eastern Time Friday, or rather 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Friday, which is about 2 hours ago, is Baltimore minus 5.5, and your over-under is set at 49.5. Okay, let's take a look at the tale of the tape. These two teams as they meet up in a postseason rematch from last year. All right, so the Tennessee Titans offense averaged 374.6 yards a game, which is number 11. Baltimore averages 348.1, which is 22nd. Rushing-wise, both teams are solid. The Baltimore Ravens average 164 rushing yards per game. That is number 2 in the NFL entering Week 11, trailing only Arizona. Tennessee
is at 148.7 rush yards a game. That puts them at number 6. Then you got passing yards. And it looks like both are in the bottom 10 in this category. Tennessee is 24th at 225.9, while Baltimore's 184.1 is 31st in the league, ranking them ahead of the New York Jets. And then you got point scoring. Both are on the high end in this category. The Titans average 27.7 points per game, which is number 10, while the Ravens are just below them at 27.1 points a game. That's number 12. And both teams are on different ends of the spectrum as far as average time of possession. The Ravens have an average time of possession of 31 minutes and 29 seconds, which is number 9 in the NFL, while Tennessee's average time of possession is only 27 minutes and 40 seconds. That is 30th, ranking them ahead of both Houston and the New York Jets. All right, on defense. The Baltimore Ravens allow 323 yards per game, which is number 8, while Tennessee allows 398.1, putting them at number 25. So clearly this defense is not as potent as it was last year. All right, rush defense. Baltimore allows 109.7 rushing yards per game, putting them at number 11, while Tennessee is at 120.7, ranking them 18th. All right, pass yards allowed. Baltimore gives up 213.3. That is number 7, while Tennessee allows 277.4, putting them at number 28. Baltimore is the NFL leader in points allowed at 18.3 points per game, while the Tennessee Titans are middle of the pack at 26.1 yards per game, putting them number 17. Moving to late down situations, the Titans and Ravens are both pretty good at converting third downs on offense. Tennessee converts 44.86% of their third downs, while Baltimore converts 43.59% of their third downs, ranking 9th and 11th, respectively. Fourth down conversions on offense, the Tennessee Titans are at 66.67%, tying them with both Detroit and Pittsburgh for 10th, while Baltimore is a little bit down on this list at 58.33%, putting them number 17. Third down conversions on defense. Baltimore is one of the top teams in this category, allowing their opponents to convert just 33.64% of their third downs. That's number 2 in the NFL behind Chicago. So while Baltimore has the second best third down percentage on defense, the Tennessee Titans have the second worst third down percentage on defense at 53.23%. That is number 31 in the league, ahead of only the Carolina Panthers. And then fourth down conversions on defense, you got the Tennessee Titans at 68.75%. They are tied with Kansas City for 27th, while Baltimore is at 40%, tied with the LA Chargers for 6th. Now the football world was stunned when the Titans walked into Baltimore last January and took out Lamar Jackson and company. But the difference between the game in January and the game coming up on Sunday, the defense in January was solid. This defense is far from it. And I think Lamar Jackson and company should be able to take advantage of that. It's gonna be a close game one way or the other. I have Baltimore winning 27-24, but I do have Tennessee as the road underdog covering Baltimore's 5.5-point spread. All right, let's jump to the late game, starting off with Tua Tagovailoa and the 6-3 Miami Dolphins, and boy, are these guys red hot. Winners of 5 straight. They take that winning streak into Empower Field in Denver to face Drew Lock and the 3-6 Broncos. Sunday at 4:05 Eastern on CBS. Broadcast team will be play-by-play announcer Kevin Harlan, one of my favorite play-by-play voices out there. Color analyst Trent Green, and sideline reporter Melanie Collins. The point spread in this game as of 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time Friday is Miami minus 3.5, and the over-under is set at 45.5. All right, now let's take a look at the tail of the tape for the Dolphins and the Broncos, starting off with the offenses. And based on yards, they're not that great. Neither offense is that great. The Dolphins averaged 318.1 yards per game, while the Broncos averaged 334. That puts Miami 29th in the NFL and Denver 26th. The Dolphins averaged 98.7 rushing yards per game. That's number 28. Denver is slightly better at 106.6, putting them number 19. As far as passing yards are concerned, they're both in the bottom 10 in the league. The Dolphins are 26th at 219.4, while the Broncos are 23rd at 227.4. But as far as point scoring is concerned, the Dolphins are one of the best at 27.9 points per game. That puts them at number 9. While the Broncos are 28th at 20.7 points a game. And average time of possession is 30 minutes and 8 seconds for the Dolphins. That's number 15. And 28 minutes, 29 seconds for the Broncos, which is number 26. Turning our attention to the defenses. And both are in the middle of the pack as far as total defense, as the Broncos give up 360 yards per game, and the Dolphins allow 371.9, which puts Denver 17th in total defense in the league and Miami 19th. Rushing defenses are not great. The Dolphins allow 128.1 rushing yards per game, while Denver allows 128.8, ranking the two teams 22nd and 23rd. Passing defense. The Broncos are at 231.2 yards a game. That's number 14. The Dolphins 243.8, putting them at number 19. And then you come to points allowed, where the Miami Dolphins are at 20.2 points a game. That puts them at number 5. And the Broncos are near the bottom at 28.2 points per game, number 27. Late down situations. And neither team is good in terms of third down conversions on offense. Denver is at 38.52%, while Miami is at 38.46%, ranking the two teams 27th and 28th respectively. So while both teams do struggle on third downs, that's not the case for one of these teams in terms of fourth down conversions. And that's the Miami Dolphins, who are number 6 in the NFL in converting fourth downs on offense at 75%, while the Denver Broncos are dead last at 11.11%. Third down conversions on defense, both teams are in the top 10. The Dolphins are at 33.95%. That is number 3 behind Chicago and Baltimore. Denver is at 38.1%, which puts them number 6, just ahead of the 49ers and Falcons. Fourth down conversion defense for both teams is also great. Both are in the top 10. Miami's at 41.18%, which is number 8. Denver's at 44.44%, which is enough to put them in the top 10. All right, so Tua Tagovailoa, this is his 4th career start. He is 3-0 as a starter. He's thrown 5 touchdown passes to no interceptions. I think the trend will continue in Denver as the Dolphins win 26-16, and I also have Miami to cover the 3.5 points. All right, from one AFC West stadium to the next, we are off to the brand new SoFi Stadium in Inglewood as the 2-7 Los Angeles Chargers, led by another rookie quarterback in Justin Herbert, host the injury-riddled MASH unit / dumpster fire that is the New York Jets at 0-9. Sunday, 4:05 Eastern on CBS. The broadcast team will be play-by-play announcer Greg Gumbel, color commentator and another former NFL quarterback, Rich Gannon, and sideline reporter AJ Ross. The point spread in this game as of 10:30 a.m. Tuesday is LA minus 9.5, and your over-under is set at 46 points. All right, so let's take a look at the tell of the tape. And we'll start with the Los Angeles Chargers offense. They average 403.7 yards per game, putting them number 4. They are number 9 in rushing at 131.6 yards per game. They rank 7th in passing yards at 272.1. But as far as points are concerned, they're on the low end. They average 25.1 points per game, which is 17th. Well, yeah, they are in the low end, but they're basically middle of the pack there. And average time of possession is one of the best in the league at 32 minutes, 3 seconds, putting them number 4. As for the New York Jets, they average 266 yards of offense, 98.9 rushing yards per game, 167.1 passing yards per game, 13.4 points per game, and an average time of possession of 26 minutes and 49 seconds. New York ranks dead last in total offense, passing offense, points, and average time of possession, and ranked 27th in rushing offense. All right, let's take a look at the defenses now. Starting off with the Los Angeles Chargers. They give up 349.8 yards per game, which ranks them at number 12. They are 16th in rushing defense, giving up 117.4. They're also 16th in passing defense, allowing 232.3. As far as points allowed, the Chargers give up 27.2 points per game. They're tied with Carolina for 21st. Then you have the New York Jets defense. They give up 402.7 yards per game, which is 28th. 120.9 rush yards per game, which is 19th. 281.8 yards passing per game, that's 29th. And 29.8 points per game, which is number 30, ahead of only Jacksonville and Dallas. And now the late down situations. All right, the Los Angeles Chargers convert 44.96% of their third down conversions on offense. That is number 8. They rank 50. They are at 50% on their fourth down conversions on offense. They are tied with Chicago, Dallas, Minnesota, Kansas City, and their SoFi Stadium roommates, the LA Rams, for 21st. As far as third down conversions on defense, the LA Chargers are 12th in the league at 39.5%. And fourth down conversions on defense, they are at 40%, tying them with Baltimore for 6th. Then you got the New York Jets. Dead last in third down conversions on offense at 31.03%. They are 28th in fourth down conversions on offense at 30.77%. All right, third down conversions on defense, you can pretty much call them mediocre at this point at 43.52%. That ranks them at number 20. And they're 62.5% in fourth down conversions on defense, which ranks them at 21st. Now we've got to give the Jets credit, because the last time we saw them, they nearly beat the New England Patriots on Monday Night Football. But I think it's still pretty evident that this team is on the road to 0-16 and perhaps drafting Trevor Lawrence next spring. Right now, I don't care who you put under center for the New York Jets, whether it's Sam Darnold or Joe Flacco. Hell, they could bring Joe Namath out of retirement and he couldn't save this team. That's how bad this Jets team is. And then the Chargers, I'm kind of concerned that they may be the first team that fall victim to the New York Jets, given the fact that they are notoriously known for blowing games late. But I do have the Chargers winning this game in a mini route, 29-13. But I am not so confident that they'll cover the 9.5 points. And that's just based on how the Jets performed 2 weeks ago against the Patriots. So for now, I have LA covering the 9.5 points, and I have them winning straight up as well. Okay, we're off to the Twin Cities now, as we'll be taking a look at the 2-7 Dallas Cowboys and the 4-5 Minnesota Vikings, who, speaking of Monday Night Football, they're coming off a win against the Bears last Monday night in Chicago. This game will be played at US Bank Stadium in Minneapolis Sunday at 4:25 Eastern Time. That's 3:25 locally in the Twin Cities. The game will be televised on Fox. The broadcast team will be play-by-play announcer Kenny Albert, color commentator Jonathan Vilma, and sideline reporter Shannon Spake. The point spread for this game as at 9:45 a.m. Eastern Time Friday is Minnesota minus 7.5, and the over-under is set at 47.5. My picks coming up in just a bit, but now we go to the tale of the tape. Starting with the offenses. The visiting Dallas Cowboys averaged 395 yards per game, which ranks them number 8 in the NFL. They are 17th in rushing yards at 110. Number 4 in passing yards at 285. They rank behind Kansas City, Atlanta, and Seattle. Points is on the low end, though. They're at 22.7 points per game. They're tied with Cincinnati for 22nd. Average time of possession also on the low end for the Cowboys. They're at 28 minutes and 23 seconds, which ties them for 27th with, ironically enough, the Minnesota Vikings, who averaged 382.3 yards of offense per game. That's number 9. Rushing yards. They average 153.6 yards per game. That is number 5. Passing yards, they're at 228.8, which puts them 22nd. And then you get the points. The Vikings average 26.2 points per game, which is number 15. And their average time of possession is tied with the Dallas Cowboys for 27th at 28 minutes and 23 seconds. Taking a look at the defenses. First, the Dallas Cowboys. They give up 381.6 yards per game, putting them 23rd. 157 rushing yards per game. That is 31st. Ranking them ahead of the other NFL team in Texas, and that's the Houston Texans. Pass yards allowed, solid, 224.6. That's number 11. And in points allowed, they give up a league worst 32.2 points per game. All right, the Minnesota Vikings defense. They surrender 383.6 yards per game, putting them at number 24. All right, rushing yards allowed. The Vikings are at 115.7. That puts them at number 15. Passing yards, they give up 267.9, which is 27th. And points allowed, the Vikings are at 27.4 points per game, which is 23rd. Jumping now to late down situations. All right. The Dallas Cowboys convert 40.83% of their third down on offense. That's 20 seconds. While the Minnesota Vikings convert 41.49% of their third downs on offense. That's 19th. All right. Looking for the Dallas Cowboys. There they are. All right. Both teams convert 50% of their fourth down conversions on offense. They are tied with the Chicago Bears, Kansas City Chiefs, and both Los Angeles teams for 21st in that category. Third down conversions on defense. Dallas gives up 48.33% on third downs, which is 28th in the NFL. While conversely, the Vikings is one of the best third down defenses in the NFL at 35.24%, putting them number 4. And in fourth down conversions on defense, the Dallas Cowboys are at 45.45%, good for 11th, while Minnesota sits at 66.67%. They are tied with Chicago and Jacksonville for 24th. All right. And it looks like Andy Dalton had that concussion a while back. And then he was placed on the COVID-19 reserve list. Word on the street is he's going to start for the Cowboys on Sunday. But I think this game is going to be a massacre. Because like I said, the Cowboys offense is a shell of their former selves. And I've said this many of times over the last few weeks. They're missing Dak Prescott. There's just no way around it. They're missing Dak Prescott. Andy Dalton is back, but I don't know if that's good news or not. Because they're facing a Minnesota team who has one of the most deadliest rushing games in the NFL, spearheaded by Dalvin Cook, who, if the season ended right now, he would win the league's rushing title. He leads the NFL in rushing yards, and he also leads the NFL in touchdown runs. And that's what this Dallas Cowboys defense has to contend with. That said, give me the Vikings at home in this one, 31-14, and I have them easily covering the 7.5 points. The final game on the Sunday afternoon schedule takes us down to Indianapolis, where you have the 7-2 Green Bay Packers visiting the 6-3 Indianapolis Colts at Lucas Oil Stadium, and what may possibly be a Super Bowl preview. You never know. That game is Sunday at 4:25 Eastern on Fox, and the broadcast team will be play-by-play announcer Joe Buck, color commentator, and yet another former NFL quarterback, Troy Aikman, 3-time Super Bowl winner, and sideline reporter Aaron Andrews. The point spread in this game as of 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time Wednesday night is Indianapolis -1, and the over-under is set at 51 points. Okay, here is the tale of the tape. We look at the Packers and the Colts. Starting with total offense. The Green Bay Packers averaged 395.8 yards per game, putting them at number 6. They are 11th in rushing yards at 121.4. They are number 6 in passing yards, 274.3. Green Bay is the 3rd highest scoring team in the NFL at 30.8 points per game, and they have the best average time of possession in the league at 33 minutes and 8 seconds. Meanwhile, flipping the coin to the Indianapolis Colts, they are 15th in total yards at 368.2. 20th in rushing yards at 105.8. All right. Passing yards, the Colts are number 10 at 262.4. They average 26.9 points per game, putting them at number 14. And average time of possession is also on the high end at 31 minutes and 12 seconds, putting them number 11. Turning our attention now to the defenses. The Green Bay Packers defense allows 335.9 yards per game, which is number 9. They allow 110.8 rush yards per game, which is 12th. Green Bay is also 13th in passing defense, surrendering 225.1 yards per game. And they're 15th in points at 24.9 points allowed. While the Indianapolis Colts is a top 5 defense pretty much across the board in all 4 of these categories. At 290.4 yards per game, Indianapolis statistically is the best defense overall. They allowed 91.8 rushing yards per game, which is 3rd behind Tampa Bay and New Orleans. Their 198.7 passing yards per game ranks them 2nd in the league behind Washington. And at 19.7 points allowed per game, they rank number 4 in the NFL, trailing Baltimore, the LA Rams, and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Late down situations. We'll start off with the Packers, who converts 48.18% of their third downs on offense, which ranks them at number 4. They convert 57.14% of their fourth downs. That puts them at number 18. Third down conversions on defense, the Packers are at 39.8%, which is number 15. And they're number 4 in fourth down conversions on defense at 36.36%. As for the Indianapolis Colts, they convert only 37.5% of their third downs on offense. That is 30th ahead of only both the Chicago Bears and New York Jets. Indianapolis is 14th in fourth down conversions on offense at 61.11%. Third down conversions on defense, they're at 40.52%, which is 17th. And they're also 17th in fourth down conversions on defense at 57.14%. So this is going to be a fun game. As you just heard from those numbers, the Packers and Colts are in the top half of pretty much every offensive and defensive category. I guess the question we gotta ask ourselves is, which unit's gonna win? The Green Bay Packer offense or the Indianapolis Colts defense? Because I've seen this Packers offense this year, and they can put up yards, they can put up points, they can do a lot of things. I'm basing this pick on the two quarterbacks. Aaron Rodgers for Green Bay and Phillip Rivers for Indianapolis. If I had to pick between these two quarterbacks who I'd want to run my offense, without skipping a beat, I say Aaron Rodgers. I just don't trust Phillip Rivers, especially in big games. And this looks like a potentially big game here. 7-2 versus 6-3. I'm going to give the edge to Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. I got the Cheeseheads winning 31-21, and I also have them covering that slim 1-point margin. So those are the Sunday afternoon games. Now let's go to the remaining primetime games, starting off with Sunday Night Football. And should I say a revenge game for the world champion Kansas City Chiefs. They come in with a record of 8-1. They're traveling to Sin City to face the team that gave Kansas City its only loss this year, and that's the Las Vegas Raiders, who enter with a record of 6-3. And this game will be played at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas Sunday night at 8:20 on NBC. The broadcast team will be play-by-play announcer Al Michaels, color commentator Chris Collinsworth, and sideline reporter Michelle Tafoya. The point spread as of 4:15 p.m. Eastern Time Friday is Kansas City minus 7.5, and the over-under is at 56.5. All right, tell it a take time for Chiefs Raiders Part 2, starting with the offenses. All right. First, the visiting Kansas City Chiefs, number 2 in the NFL in total yards at 409 per game, trailing only Arizona entering Week 11. The Chiefs are 14th in rushing at 114.3 yards per game. They have the number 1 passing attack in football, averaging 294.7 yards per game. They also average 31.8 points per game. That's number 2 in the NFL, trailing only Seattle. And average time of possession, though, is in the bottom half of the league at 29 minutes, 9 seconds. They're tied with the Giants for 20th. As for the Las Vegas Raiders, they average 370 yards a game, which puts them at number 13. Rushing yards, they average 139.2, which is 7th. As far as passing yards are concerned, the Raiders average 230.8. That's 21st. Points, Vegas averages 28.3 points per game, which is number 8. And they're number 3 in average time of possession at 32 minutes and 16 seconds, trailing only Green Bay and Cincinnati in this category. All right. Defensively, the Kansas City Chiefs allow 354.1 yards per game, putting them at number 14. They allow 138.4 rushing yards per game. That is 29th in the NFL, ahead of only Detroit, Dallas, and Houston. Passing yards allowed, Kansas City is one of the best defenses at 215.7 yards per game. That's number 8. And in points, the Chiefs allow 20.3 points per game, putting them at number 6. As for the Las Vegas Raiders, they allow 377.6 yards per game, putting them at number 21. They allow 112.7 rush yards a game, which is 13th. Passing yards, the Raiders give up 264.9, which is 25th. And as far as points allowed, the Raiders allow 26.8 points per game, which puts them number 19. Moving to late down situations, starting off with the Kansas City Chiefs. They're at 50% third down conversions on offense. They're tied with Buffalo for second. Trailing only, ironically enough, the Raiders, who lead the league in third down conversions on offense at 58.43%. As far as fourth down conversions on offense, the Raiders are at 80%. That is number 4, behind Buffalo, Cincinnati, and Arizona. Meanwhile, Kansas City is at 50%. They are tied with 5 other teams for 21st. Third down conversions on defense. The Raiders are at 47.37%, which is number 25. Kansas City's 39.29%, which is number 11. And fourth down conversions on defense, both are near the bottom of the league. The Chiefs are at 68.75%, tying them with Tennessee for 27th, while Las Vegas is at 81.82%. That's number 30 in the league, ahead of both Cleveland and Carolina. All right, so the first game in this series went to the Raiders as they went to Arrowhead and won 40-32. And given John Gruden's record, he's always done well against the Chiefs. And that first game was no exception. But I think the Kansas City Chiefs did not forget about they have not forgotten that loss. And they have not forgotten that stunt the Raiders pulled, making a victory lap in their team bus around Arrowhead Stadium before flying back home to Sin City. I think Kansas City is going to be in that team on a mission mode, and they're going to go out to Las Vegas and exact revenge on the Silver and Black, who cost them a perfect season back in October. That said, I'm taking the Chiefs to win 34-24 and to cover the 7.5 points. And then our final game of Week 11 takes us down to Florida's West Coast, as the 7-3 Tampa Bay Buccaneers, led of course by Tom Brady, they will host Jared Goff and the 6-3 and NFC West co-leading Los Angeles Rams at Raymond James Stadium. This game is Monday at 8:15 on ESPN. The broadcast team is play-by-play announcer Steve Levy, color commentators Brian Greasy and Louis Riddick, and sideline reporter Lisa Salters. Oh, and lest I forget, this is the first matchup of Brady and Goff since Super Bowl 53. The point spread in this game as a 12 noon Eastern time on Wednesday is Tampa Bay -4 and the over-under is 48. And now for our final tell of the tape with the Bucks and Rams. Starting off with the Los Angeles Rams offense. They are number 7 in the NFL in total yards at 395.6. Number 8 in rushing yards at 134.2. They are number 11 in passing yards at 261.3. They rank 19th in point. They rank in a tie for 18th with the Browns in points, averaging 24 points a game. And their average time of possession is 31 minutes, 47 seconds, which puts them at number 6. And then you got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who average 368.5 yards a game. That is number 14. They are 23rd in rushing yards at 103.9. They are number 9 in passing at 264.6 yards per game. And point scoring, they're at 29.6 points a game, which ties them with Arizona for 6th. Average time of possession is 29 minutes and 42 seconds, which is 17th. All right, taking a look at the defense, starting off with LA. And this is a top-notch defense. They're top 5 in all 4 of these categories. They allow 296.4 yards per game, 96.8 rush yards per game, 199.7 yards passing per game, and 18.7 points per game. So they are number 2 in both total defense and in points. They're third in... All right, the Rams are number 2 in both total defense behind Indianapolis and total points allowed behind Baltimore. They are number 3 in passing defense, trailing Washington and Indianapolis. And they're number 5 in rush yards allowed, trailing Tampa Bay, New Orleans, Indianapolis, and Seattle. Then you got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're number 3 in yards allowed at 300.3 per game. They are number 1 in the league in rushing defense at 76.6. So it's going to be pretty difficult to run against them. They're number 9 in passing defense at 223.7 yards per game. And in points, they allow 22.6 per game, which puts them at number 8. So, both of these defenses are top 10 or top 5 across the board. Late down situations, starting off with the Los Angeles Rams. They are number 7 in converting third downs on offense at 45.97%. They're at 50% in fourth down conversions on offense. They're tied with the Chargers, Vikings, Cowboys, Bears, and Chiefs for 21st. Third down conversions on defense. LA allows 35.4%. That is number 5. And fourth down conversions on defense is also number 5 at 38.46%. Then the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. third down conversions on offense is 42.86%. They're tied with Arizona for 14th. Fourth down conversions on offense, they are at 60%, tying them with Houston for 15th. They are 13th in third down conversions on defense at 39.52%. And they're at 50% on fourth down conversions on defense, tying them with both Philadelphia and Washington for 12th. As I said, this is going to be the first time Tom Brady and Jared Goff will play in the same game since Super Bowl 53. And we all know how that game ended up. It was a 13-3 win for the Patriots, and it was also the last of Tom Brady's 6 Super Bowl rings. Now, there is no ring for this. There is no ring at stake for this game. But if you listen to the defensive numbers, I think points will be, to a certain extent, at a premium. It's just the fact of which offense will break through. I got to go with TB12 here because there is the history from the Super Bowl and him beating Jared Goff. So that comes into play. The Rams are going to have a very tough time running the football. In fact, I think both teams are going to have a pretty tough time running the football, as both rush defenses rank in the top 10. As I said, the Rams are a top 5 defense across the board. The Bucs are a top 10 defense across the board. I think Tampa Bay, led with the league's #1 rushing defense, will prevail in this game. So I'm taking Tampa, the home team, to win 26-20, and I also have them covering the 4 points. Okay, so that is part 2 of my Week 11 NFL preview, as we took a look at all 13 of the remaining games on this weekend's schedule. And there are some pretty good games that I'm looking forward to this weekend, including that big Green Bay Indianapolis game. That's going to be a lot of fun if we end up getting that game locally here in Phoenix. I'll have to check the maps on 506sports.com to see which games we are getting. Anyway, like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Ring the bell and get notified every time I drop a vid. This is Big Al signing off. Thanks for hanging out with me. Enjoy the pigskin this weekend, and I will be back on Tuesday for the Week 11 edition of the week that was, as we'll review all 14 games on the Week 11 schedule, including the Thursday night divisional clash with the Cardinals and Seahawks, as well as the Packers and Colts, the Rams and Bucks, plus the Sunday night Chiefs-Raiders revenge game. So that's coming on Tuesday. Be on the lookout for that. All right, Big Al signing off. Have a great weekend. I will talk to you Tuesday. Peace out.